Ryan has heard your name so much in the last year. Welcome to my most favorite podcast that I've ever done. I had the privilege of talking to the amazing GlamPreezy. She is a fibroid coach right here on YouTube, so you can check out her channel. She is a wealth of information when it comes to fibroids and women's health. We talk about the link between trauma and emotions and just the whole kind of spiritual aspect when it comes to fibroids and womb health. I think you're going to love it. She's amazing. Enjoy. Thank you so much for the YouTube channel that you've created, for all the content that you put out. I know there's a lot of research that goes into it. You're not just talking about willy-nilly stuff. Like, you go in with studies, and so thank you.
You are so welcome. What lovely, lovely compliments. I really love to hear people's feedback because I feel like I'm in a bubble sometimes, when you're creating content and you're kind of just in your own world. I can feel what needs to be out there, but sometimes I don't get that back, like what I'm actually doing. Like, am I affecting the community? Nowadays, I do feel like I'm getting so much more feedback and so much is happening, such as this connection. And I think it's really amazing. I'm so glad that my content was able to shed some light, but also like lift your spirit up because it's scary at first. So I feel like there's so much that we could talk about in terms of like our energy and kind of what we bring to our situation. And it's so important to really like lift your spirit up and give you hope, because you can't heal when you're in that fear,
I think what you just said is I think that's honestly why I was so drawn to you, because one of the little parts in a video was how you would visualize shrinking it down. And you sat there and you were like, I just imagine just going like this. And I was like, immediately, I paused the video and was just like sitting there imagining just like this thing. And I had not even seen an actual image of it yet. So I had gotten MRI images. And when I finally saw it, I was like, oh, that thing is so I actually could see it. But before that, I was just visualizing this thing in there and like crunching it down. So was that just you intuitively like, this is how I'm going to get through this to keep my spirits high? Like, I've got this, I can conquer this thing, I'm going to squish it down? Or did somebody else kind of show that to you? Where did that specific, like, I'm going to shrink this thing down come from? Because that was so powerful.
Girl, I'm going to be honest with you. And I was talking with somebody on a call the other day, because I'm now doing like one-on-one support calls for people. And it's occurred to me throughout this whole journey, and more so recently, how intuitive I was in the beginning. And I was telling this girl, I said, listen to me, when I tell you there's no way that I could know what to do, I think there must have been some type of ancestral wisdom. I'm like, I got some ancestors with me, because there's no way that I knew what to do. I put myself in a space, and I've talked about this in several videos. I call it incubating. I kind of isolated. And I think that's really important for women to do in the beginning, because sometimes we're kind of outsourcing these opinions and people's energy. And it's very important for us to go inward and feel how we feel and hear our own inner voice, instead of listening to what the noise, I call it. The noise is where you get caught up. You really need to close your eyes and see from inside, if that makes any sense. And when I did that, let me tell you something, things just started coming to me. And I haven't talked about this because it sounds crazy to some people, but now that I'm down the spiritual rabbit hole, I understand what was happening. And this is another reason why I encourage women to go on this journey, because it changes so much more than our relationship with ourselves. It's so much more than just fibroid healing when we really get to the root of it. And I just was coming up with these things. I was intuitively listening to my body and knowing what to eat. And I hadn't read anything yet. I didn't know anything yet. And it wasn't until I got later down the line when I started to do more research, and I was like, there's no way that all of this was linking up. Every single thing that I was doing had science to back it. had some type of like, traditional or even ancestral wisdom to it. Like a lot of these things, I'm getting chills right now because there's no way to
Yeah.
explain it. There's really no way to
It's
explain it.
it's very validating and also shocking when you're like, whoa, I was right. And then you start tapping into it. And I feel like the more you flow in that kind of trail, because you can go to doctors and then get really disheartened by what they have to say because they're going by the book, they're going by what they know. And a lot of times surgeons are like, we're going to cut it out. And then they never think about you. And you're like, what do I do? What if it grows back? All that. What you just said is exactly what I want to talk to you about because I wondered if it was an intuitive thing, and it seems like it, just based on all the stuff that you've talked about. So before, because I want to go real deep into it's, if people want to watch your video, it's the one titled "Your Trauma and Stress Can Be Causing Your Fibroids." So that was one where I was like, I don't hear anybody else talking about this specific topic. And I truly feel like there's a lot of lifestyle, diet, there's a lot of other things, and we'll touch on those things. But I think the spiritual sort of intuitive connection, all of that. And I love that you call it a womb because I truly think that it's so sacred, and women, it's almost like we shy away from really just, there's this thing where it's like once you accept that you are a woman, then you're like womb, it just becomes this very powerful word. So take me back to, let's recap your personal journey with fibroids so that we can kind of see where you started from and kind of where you are now. Because I know that you've had surgery, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So my journey started way back in, I'd say about 2018, when I first discovered that I had fibroids. And listen, when I go back and I think about my story, I'm like, oh my God, what a mess. So I found out that I had fibroids because I was going to get a new IUD.
Okay.
I don't want to make this like the longest story on earth, but I have to say this because like the craziness. So I decided at that time, I've been an entrepreneur for, I don't know, a decade or more. So I didn't have health insurance at this time.
Okay.
And I was living in South Florida, and to get my IUD replaced, which first of all, I was put on the IUD to manage heavy bleeding.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
What do you know how heavy you're bleeding? Like, could you ever measure it, or is it just like you can't manage because it's so heavy?
At that time, I didn't measure it, but the reason why they wanted to put me on IUD, not just because of the heavy bleeding, it was because I was anemic.
Yeah.
I had a history of anemia. Actually, I have had transfusions. I have had infusions. Like I've had constant issues with anemia. And my doctor was like, listen, this is the only way we know to stop you from losing what you have.
Yeah.
They didn't even think like, where's the root cause of this coming from?
Yeah.
So this is the inception of like me discovering, oh, doctors really don't go root cause.
Yeah.
So I was on the IUD and it was coming up time for me to replace the thing. And I said, okay, maybe if I go home to Chicago, it'll be cheaper for me to replace it myself. Sure enough, it was cheaper. I flew to Chicago, stayed with my best friend. I go to the place and the lady could not find the IUD. Like she was like, I can't see it. I can't pull it out. Let me get somebody else in here to see if they can fish it out.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Girl, when I tell the people I've been through it, I really mean this.
Yeah.
So they couldn't find the IUD. And the lady is like, you're going to have an ultrasound assisted removal. And I'm like, I'm thinking, I don't have insurance. I flew here because this was cheaper to get this stupid IUD put in, which I don't even want to begin with. And so now I'm going to have to go get this whole thing. So I go back home to Florida and I schedule an appointment with this OB clinic, whatever. And immediately when I lay on the table, she's feeling around. She's like, you have fibroids. And I'm like, hold on. You know, I'm looking for my IUD.
Yeah, I don't need another problem.
What are you talking about? She was like, yeah, you have a huge fibroid uterus and your best option is surgery. That was like the first thing they told me. Yeah, no intervention, no nothing, surgery, right? And so
Mm.
I was like, oh, okay. So I go and I'm figuring out my whole life because now I have to have surgery. I have to take off of work. I have to figure out how I'm going to pay for this stupid surgery. You know, there was a lot going on. I found a surgeon. He was actually, at the time, I felt like he was so understanding and
Mm.
so, like, I don't know. He just made me feel calm about it. He was like, it's going to be quick. We're going to go in. We're going to blah, 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 blah. And they thought they were going to take out 4 of them. And sure enough, I had 8 of them.
No.
So, yeah.
That's a unpleasant surprise.
Yes. And this is another reason why I advocate for women to do MRI because ultrasound is not reliable.
Yep.
It is so crazy how you can have several ultrasounds and then look at your MRI and they can be completely
Yep.
different.
Yep.
Even multiple ultrasounds can be different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just so unreliable. Anyway, I was in surgery for a really long time. It was a very rough surgery. And another thing that happened after this is that I had to stay in the hospital for several days after the surgery, which is abnormal.
Mm.
And I almost lost my life.
Are you
Literally,
serious?
girl, seriously.
What happened?
So I was overdosed on narcotics and something happened. I had a reaction. I couldn't breathe. Like it was like a literal, like life flashing before your eyes moment. Yeah.
Did you have a near-death experience?
You know what? When it was happening, I just remember I was so gone
Mm-hmm.
because I was on narcotics. I was so high, and I've never taken any type of narcotic in my
Yep.
life, like painkillers, but they were experimenting with all these things because I was in so much pain.
Oh.
The pain management from that surgery, and I feel like I have a fairly high tolerance for pain. It was like, I could not manage. So they were just trying all types of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up just like, whatever.
Oh.
And
Was
I
it an open
remember
myomectomy? Like an open one or?
I totally skipped over that part. So I had a laparoscopic myomectomy.
Okay.
And this is where they go in with this, it's not a catheter, but it's like a little long stem type of little
Yeah.
robotic. Yeah. So I have 3 tiny incisions on the abdomen, and I have 1 paperclip sized on the bikini line.
So we have almost exactly the same. My larger one is right above my belly button to
Oh,
the
wow.
side. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had a robotic laparoscopic myomectomy.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we're
Oh, my goodness. Who
similar.
knew? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So they did that laparoscopically and they got 8 out of there. Do you remember what the total mass was? Because I'm assuming they had to like turn it into the ribbon kind of like mushy. They couldn't like just take the full fibroid
I
out.
don't know. I think he asked me, did I want to see what they took out? And I did look at it, but at that time, I had no idea I was going to end up here. I would have taken the pictures of it. I didn't know. I was like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So I really don't remember. Honestly, that whole experience is almost a blur because
Yeah.
it was so traumatic. I just wanted to like get the hell out of
Yeah.
there.
Well, so you're in the hospital, they're overdosing you. You're like, okay, now I'm in pain from surgery. Not that just sounds like such a night. Were you alone in the hospital or did you have somebody there?
I was alone. And the
Oh,
only reason why they knew to come in there, first of all, they had me in the room by myself with the door closed. I don't know where the little button thingy was, and it
oh
wouldn't have
no.
mattered because I was so high out of my mind. I was on the phone with my mom. She was at work and she was like, "Okay, what's going on?" And she could hear my voice changing, like she could hear me sounding like, "What the hell are you talking
Yeah.
about?"
Yeah.
So she had to call the hospital. Yeah, so she called the hospital. This
Oh,
is like such divine intervention. When I tell
yeah.
you my whole entire story must have been written because there's no way.
Yeah.
So my mom called the hospital, and that's how they came to check on me. And by the time they checked on me, I was just like, I don't know if I was coding or I don't know what was going on.
Oh,
I just remember the lady looking at me, and I remember my eyes were just streaming with tears, and I was like,
oh,
you
and you're
know,
just like, help me. Like, that's the
yeah,
only thing you can do is like you rely
goodness
on someone else.
gracious,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, so
yeah.
what happened? Did they finally get you figured out and the pain was okay, or did you just suffer through the pain for the whole healing process?
No, I said, I am not taking another drug. Do not give me anything. Let me out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told my mom to come get me the hell out of here. So I really just, I pushed through with
Oh,
no pain meds, no nothing. They did send me home with maybe like Tylenol 3 or something. I never
yeah.
took it. And
Well,
I
you are a
really,
badass because
whoa,
that is insane. Like
yeah.
the pain from it, because also your abdomen is like reorienting itself. It's almost like things are falling back into place, and then because they have to use gas to do the laparoscopy, it's like
Yep.
the gas is trying to escape you, and it was almost like Rice Krispies. It felt like crunchy
Oh, it
skin.
registers. Yeah, it
Yeah.
starts register, and then the shoulder,
Oh
all
yeah.
the gas.
Well, so I can hear Ryan like stress breathing over here because I had a similar experience to
Oh
you
my
actually on the
goodness.
way home. So I also never take any kind of painkillers. I'm always just just grit your teeth through it. And they were sort of tapering me down, and then it became, because obviously you're on like fentanyl and stuff during the surgery,
Uh-huh.
but when you're awake, it's Tylenol and ibuprofen. I want to say they were switching, and there was an
Mhm.
issue with when, like, how often I was supposed to be taking the meds, and so they said every 6 hours, but I didn't
Mhm.
realize you could swap between the two every 3 hours, and so
Oh.
I accidentally kind of started to taper down way too early. And this was just, so I had the surgery and then I stayed just the night in the hospital because the surgery went on way longer than they thought. It was like 7 hours.
Mhm.
And we drove to Jacksonville from Sarasota. So it was a distance away. And so
Oh.
the next day, I'm like hobbling around, just like, I want to go home. I want to go home. And so I get in the car and I'm fresh out of surgery. I'm literally just wearing like a sleep dress and a diaper. That's it. And I'm like, I'm just going to get home. Everything's going to be fine. And the pain was just so intense. Every bump in the car, and I was like, okay, we need to do something. Like, I don't know if I can withstand like a 5 hour trip like this. So have never taken any kind of oxy, any kind of anything major
Mhm.
in my life. And they gave me like little 5 milligrams. So I took one, was like, maybe that'll help me just kind of go to sleep, or I don't know what they do to you. And it
Mhm.
turns out and they kept telling me, walk around, don't get blood clots, like get up and
Oh
do
no.
your thing. And so we made sure that every hour or so we'd try to pull over and I could just get out. And I was also on my period during surgery. So
Mm.
it was a whole thing. I was just in such a mess, and Ryan is such an angel. He was there every step of the way. And we get out at one point, and as soon as I get out of the car, I just start feeling really, really hot and very faint. And I'm like, okay, I need to probably sit down again. And I made it back to the car, thankfully, but was halfway in the seat when I lost consciousness, but with
Oh,
my eyes open, pinned, staring into Ryan's face, and he was like
oh my
slapping me,
God.
like "Wake up!" Like, and he's alone in the parking lot, and I just came out of surgery, so he's like, "Did something bad happen with surgery?" We're not
Yeah.
really thinking it was the pill, and I woke up after I heard it. Almost sounded like a dream, like somebody just like yelling and shouting in the background. And I'm like, "What? Why is someone yelling?" And finally, when I woke up, he just like hit the ground, and was like, oh, like so panicked because he didn't want anything bad to happen. Then I start throwing up, and
Oh,
I had the only thing I had was a little berry smoothie at the hospital, and that comes up, and I immediately think I'm throwing up blood, and so both of us are
oh
like,
my
"Oh
God.
no!"
How traumatic.
But there happened to be a little ER right around the corner, like literally right
Mhm.
around the corner. So you said it was like this story was written for you. 100%. I feel like every step of the way, the goods and the bads, it felt like
Yeah.
it was a movie script because we called Mayo Clinic and they're like, get to the ER right now. There's one right around the corner. We roll in there. Turns out they checked. They were like, we're gonna have to do another CAT scan or something to check for internal bleeding. And I'm like,
Oh,
I'm not having another needle in me. I'm not having another thing happen to me. I'm like, I think it was just a bad reaction. And so after sitting in there for a little bit, they gave me some anti-nausea stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm good. Did not take another one. I will never touch one of those again just because of how sick it made me. But throwing up with the abdominal scars and all that stuff, I was like, this is not a fun way to start the healing journey. But after that, I'm so happy to say that it was very smooth sailing and everything healed up great. So your mom came and got you. So how did your healing journey go?
Oh my God. I'm so shocked because how many similarities in
Yes.
it's like, oh my God. But my healing journey, it was rough, dude. I'm going to be honest with you. It took me a good 4 weeks. I couldn't even drive. Like my abdomen was so inflamed and there was so much pain. And it was just, yeah, they might as well have just given me an open myomectomy. I don't know
Really?
what that feels like,
Yeah.
but I can imagine like, and the doctor had said there's so many inflammatory proteins that are released when they're in there. And you have to remember that all of your organs are touching. It's tight space in there. So like you open up something and there's inflammation and you're right on the bladder and you're right on this and right on. So it's, all this inflammation in that area.
Yeah.
And I suffered. I really did suffer. But once that 4 to like 6 weeks, I went back to work. I was driving and I was back to normal. And by the way, they did find the IUD. They removed it during surgery.
Was it just like absorbed? Like where?
The fibroids had displaced it.
That is so crazy. They're just like, just taking
and
it for their
imagine
own.
those things can puncture your uterine wall. So you really have to be careful with that. And the doctor was like, yeah, we got your IUD out with the fibroids. It's like, oh, thanks.
You're like the one thing that started this whole journey
so quickly. Yeah.
That is so insane. What was the time between you finding out that you had fibroids and having surgery? Was it pretty quick or did you wait a little bit?
No, well, in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't like a really quick turnaround time, but I want to say it was like 6 months-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't playing around. I was like, oh no, we gotta, if we could get them out, I gotta get them out.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know anything. I just knew what they said.
Yep.
And they were like, hysterectomy or take them out. So to me, I was like, get them out.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so the hysterectomy thing, I think every woman that has experienced like a cyst or fibroid or whatever, why is that the number one thing that they say? Hysterectomy, just get it out of there. I'm like,
God.
Why?
Honestly, I have a video on this too, and I did a little deep diving. It's very dark gynecology and the history of gynecology, if I'm being honest, but it's very money motivated.
Okay.
Yeah, because the doctors, when you think about things, and I don't like to fearmonger and I don't want people to feel like these people are not a good resource. I just need people to be aware that their tools are limited when it comes to healing. They can treat and they can do surgery, but they rarely heal. So the tools that they have in the toolbox are antiquated. This is what they know. And they also don't get paid by healing you. They also don't get paid if they just, give you something. They do get kickbacks for birth control and such, but there's no money in that. There's big money in organs because they use those organs for stem cells. They use them for research. They use wombs. They use them. So when they leave those bodies, you better believe that they are being used by the scientific community. Yeah.
That's so crazy to imagine.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, it's like to me, and maybe it's just because of this journey, honestly, I look at the womb as such an important part of a body, and so many women that have had hysterectomies because of them not knowing that there were other options. In fact, the guy that comes and clips the horse's hooves, called a farrier, his name's Earl, and I think he said his mother-in-law just heard that we had a little podcast and I talked about it for a little bit in there, and he was like, she said, I wish I had known that there was a minimally invasive option, because not even 10 years ago, it was like, oh, you have this thing, just take it out. And it was this big, brutal surgery. And there was it was almost just like this disposable thing. Like, well, if you don't have a baby in there right now, then it's just sitting in there, what's the use of it? And I love so much. So I'm actually going to read a quote that I wrote down from what you said in that video that I referenced. Your trauma and stress can be causing your fibroids, because what you said was so beautiful. And again, you were the person that I went to when I was told by all the doctors, like, surgery, surgery, surgery. I actually waited about a year, I want to say. I did a 9-day fast. I tried to change, I did meditations every day. I tried to change my whole lifestyle. I did so many things. I visualized. You had talked about vitamin D and green tea extract and things like that, which I do have to say, Dr. Leon at Mayo Clinic was my surgeon, and he's the only medical professional in this whole journey, and I've talked to a lot of them, that actually said that there's some good research with vitamin D and ECGC. So I'm like, thank you. Thank you for at least seeing that there are other things that you can do. And he's the guy that cuts things out, right? But he also understands that there's so much more to it. So I would say for people that are looking for a surgeon, make sure you feel comfortable and make sure you feel like they understand where you're coming from, and at least you align in some of those similar areas, because that makes all the difference in how you feel going into it. So what you said, and you were talking about ancient wisdom in this, you said, the womb is not just a reproductive organ. It is the seat of our creativity, emotions, sensuality, and inner knowing. It's where life is created, and not just physically, but energetically, through our passions, intuition, and ability to birth ideas into the world. And then you said, energetically, the womb aligns with the sacral chakra, which governs emotion, pleasure, relationships, and most importantly, self-expression. When it's balanced, we feel creative and connected to our deepest desires. But when blocked by unprocessed emotions, suppressed trauma, or chronic stress, this energy stagnates. And stagnation in our chakras can manifest as physical symptoms or illness in the body. I was like, what is this? Because it makes so much sense. So was that an intuitive thing that you're like, this just has to make sense? Because I feel it in my bones that is so right. And I don't hear anybody else talking about this.
Yeah. I think, so I get chills when I get on this topic, because there's so much truth to be said. And, this whole journey that I started happened after I had that surgery and such a traumatic experience, and they grew back.
Oh,
yeah.
When did they grow back? How soon after?
About a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, no.
And they were probably growing back way before then.
Yeah.
Before I realized, at that point that they're giving you big problems, they've been there.
Yeah.
This issue's already been started. So, they grew back, and I was just like, there is no way that I'm going through that again.
Yeah.
And I believe truly, not to get off topic, but I believe truly that my first experience was so traumatic to teach me and to show me things and to encourage me to go the other way the next time.
Absolutely.
Had it been easy, I probably would have just had another one.
Yep.
So I went into this whole journey knowing that there are spiritual things going on behind the scenes. And I will say, I have to give credit to my mother. She was born in Colorado. She's very much a hippie. And she's always been very nature focused, and very, very in tuned and educated when it comes to energy and all of these things. And when I was growing up, I thought my mom was nuts. Like, lady, what are you, girl? You're down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There she goes again. But I almost had to tell her, I'm like, some of the things that you said to me when I was younger are just now coming up in my 30s, and me understanding what you meant by being connected with yourself and, all of this energy talk. So I knew intuitively that if I were going to heal, just somehow inside, I just knew, okay, I'm going to have to go inward this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to change my relationship with that organ.
Yep.
Like I'm gonna like because when I first had it, it was almost like you
Yes.
disassociate from it. Like you feel like, you
I was
know,
angry. I was angry that I had a uterus and that I had periods and that I was a woman, and it was like this wish that I didn't have this, like it was almost like a punishment, right?
mhm, yep,
That's
yep.
wild. That's wild to feel
You
that way.
start feeling these feelings of betrayal of
Yes.
yourself, like, how can you even trust your own body anymore? And you start thinking all of these things. And we have it so wrong. We're looking at it the wrong way. The symptoms are messages.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's your body saying, hey, I need you to slow down. I need you to stop and pay attention because I'm trying to let you know that there's an imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to let you know that we need more attention. I need more care. I need you to start focusing inwardly and focusing on yourself,
Mm-hmm.
instead of what Western medicine has us think, because it's symptom driven, the way that they treat. So this is what they're taught.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're the enemy, but this is just how they're taught to treat through symptoms instead of through root causes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like a little bit of that in me, that intuitive sense knew, okay, I got to go at this from a different direction this time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
sometimes it's like you're either pushed into the path or you choose the path. And it sounds like both was true for you. If you watch movies, that's usually, the hero's journey. It's like they have life and then something comes in and it's like you either are shoved into this new reality, then you have to figure it out. And a lot of times that's more traumatic to kind of get shoved out. Like, no, I didn't want this. And a lot of people feel like it's an undeserved thing. Like, why me? But if you flip it and you say, why though? Like, I actually want to know why, because maybe the why is on the other side healing, is on the other side peace, is on the other side loving yourself. And I truly feel like this whole journey, I would not change it because it made me look at myself in a way that I would have just continued on the path of hating my body, hating that I'm a woman, never really understanding what it felt like to have like the alignment feeling. You know how you're talking about that, like your body, it feels a little disjointed. But I love what you said in there about it being blocked. How did you go about like feeling it within yourself, and then the process, because it is such a lengthy process and I'm in the midst of it right now, to unlock that blocked energy? Because that's kind of how I described the fibroid, is like that was energy that was just pent up in there waiting for me to look at it and focus on it from, for sure, trauma. But it's like I didn't know where to begin, because it's like, okay, you have this thing, maybe you draw the lines and you go, okay, that makes sense, it's energy and it's from repressed emotions and trauma. Where do you begin?
Yeah. Well, I start first and foremost, I'll go back to what I said before, going into a little bit of a seclusion. I think that anybody who's going through anything in life, when their life is about to really level up, you go into this place where you just don't know what the hell is going on.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing friends, you're losing people, you don't feel aligned.
Mm-hmm.
You don't feel aligned anymore. Nothing seems to fit. You just feel like you just don't belong somehow in whatever circumstances, relationships, what have you. Like you've outgrown almost your circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is you have, and you outgrown it a long time ago, but now it's physically manifesting and showing you, okay, I tell this to my little sister a lot of times, like when you feel a feeling of like, okay, I know I shouldn't be here anymore, but I'm attaching to something and I can't find the bravery or the dedication or even the discipline to move myself out of this space. It's like the universe is going to whisper. It whispers, and then it gets loud and it gets loud, and then it drags you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You are
Just kind of just what
exactly
you just
right.
said.
Yes. Everything you said resonates so much. And you just said when you're about to level up, that to me was the trick, is realizing that when bad things are happening to you, and I put that in huge quotes because I think everything in life is a lesson and some sort of a thing that leads you to the next great thing. And for me, I look at it as when you're in the down, when you're in that pit, the valley, which for the last year of my life, I didn't realize it when I was in there, obviously, because you're in survival mode. But then when you start to climb out, you're like, whoa, that was deep. That was dark. But when you're there, I always say that's where you are. There's much more connection, and it's almost like if you imagine an energy field around you, you are so much more connected to the intuition through spiritual guidance, things like that, when you're in that low point. And the point is that you get stronger so that when you rise up to the next level, there's going to be new challenges. There's always, it's not like you finish the challenges and you go and you're like, oh, I got through it. My life is all smooth sailing. The point is you go through the low, and the point is to find out who you are on the next mountain peak so that you are stronger for the next challenge that comes. And then it's just going to continue going up and up and up. And I think for me watching you, because you were in that next phase from me, because I was like in the very beginning of this fearful, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to have people like you out there saying, hey, I've been there. And also like, here's the mountain peak. Let me show you that there is this next little level that you can get to. So you're years out from surgery and this whole journey, and you've obviously found such a passion and a purpose in. It's not just like, hey, I had a fibroid and like, look at me. Like, no. You are so, like, just talking to you right now, I'm like, you are a wealth of information, but also just experience, because you've tapped in, you've looked for, okay, what is the meaning here and how can I share this? So where are you right now? Are you in a valley? Are you in a peak? Like, what is the next phase that you've found yourself on?
Wow. Whew. I have to say, I just want to say this one thing to connect it to this. And as you were talking, it just reminded me of a saying that I really resonate with. Emotion is energy in motion, right? So when you have this, going back to the trauma, and I'm gonna pull it back forward or pull it forward. When you have trauma and you have all these bad feelings, you're manifesting these circumstances or you're feeding the circumstances. You can use that same energy to pull you out of the circumstances.
Ooh.
You just have to change your perspective.
Ooh.
So that is what pulled me out of that valley. And I feel like I feel like I'm walking out of another valley right now.
Okay.
In life, not so much as in my fibroid journey. Well, hold on.
It's all in one though. It's all in one, right?
Yeah. It's definitely all the same thing, because now I am knocking on that door of perimenopause. And so I am navigating this, but I'm so much more equipped.
Yes.
Right. And I have so much more knowledge, and my perspective has changed. So I can hold space for myself and my body in ways that I wouldn't have been able to had I not gone through that initial journey.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think something else that I wanted to say about it is just that I feel like when I was initially going through that whole thing, I was going through it the second time that my fibroids came back, because I'm getting older, and the lady was just like, listen, if you're not going to have kids, then you might as well just get a hysterectomy.
Literally exactly that. Exactly that was said to me.
Yeah. This is what it's like they all had the same exact training. Yeah. And I went into the deepest depression because I was like, I knew from early on, I didn't know whether I really wanted to have kids or not, but I certainly did not want to be forced into a corner to make that choice. Yeah. And I went through the darkest time. So, did I have the same challenges the first time? No, it was actually worse the second time around. And I really went through it. And I said to myself, listen, you can either let this take you out or you can get up. You don't have to know every step. You just have to put one foot in front of the other, but in the direction that you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then things will start to reveal themselves. Because again, that emotion is like energy and motion. It's like it will catapult you into where you're trying to go, but you got to get behind yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of my content is very much trying to get women
Oh, yeah.
to see you have to fight for your health. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to educate yourself. You have to learn yourself and sit with yourself and go through that dark night. And you have to be quiet because you can't hear when you've got all the noise. You've got all these opinions and you're listening to the doctor on repeat in your mind, and you hear your mom talking about you might as well just go because that's what she did. Or you got some lady that said, oh, you can't shrink those. I tried a million things, blah, blah, blah. And it's like all this noise, right? So the isolation part, that part is so essential. It's like going into an incubator,
Yeah.
like a little baby chick.
Okay. Again, everything you're saying, I'm just like, are we living parallel lives? Because just so much of that is resonating. And I laughed the first time you said emotion is energy in motion, because that is something like 10 years ago, maybe even longer. We made a little video, and that was one of the parts, and it was a silly, ridiculous little video. And that was a little thing. It's like a scientist was talking about emotions, and he was like, emotions is energy in motion. It was like such a weird little thing that's always been echoing back. And you know how like childhood things sometimes echo back in, or like,
yeah.
So it's wild that you just said that. And I think, I truly believe that when you are on the right path, there are signs, and people call it like deja vu, or, oh, it's a synchronicity. And when you start to tap in and see that, so sometimes it's like, what am I supposed to do with my life? How do I know which path I'm supposed to take? And we've kind of been talking about how intuition is so vitally important, especially for women, because the womb is the center of that. And when we have a womb sickness, then there is something off. We are not lined up. We're not aligned. And I want to know, how do you see, is it like the future you is talking to yourself and saying, hey, stay on this path? Do you look up to other people? Like, how is it that you orient yourself to where you know that you are on the right path?
It's so weird that you're saying that. And we keep saying it's so weird, but this is just all alignment. But I just started doing the future me thing like 2 weeks ago.
Nuh-uh.
No, seriously. Literally. And so it's not something I can say I've really relied on. But what I have relied on is I really truly believe in having faith and trust in the process, and blind faith and deep, deep, deep inner knowing. Like when you hear me talk about certain things, there is absolutely zero uncertainty, zero, because it's going to happen. I'm not going to accept anything less.
Yeah.
And I have this, I have Substack, and I do voice notes to that community. I go on 3-mile walks several times a week, and I just have I have downloads, so what I do for myself is I find a outlet that allows me to hear. And I did a voice note the other day saying, you just literally have to walk in the direction of where you want to go. And God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, will take you the rest of the way. So in those moments when I just don't know what the hell to do, I know my routine. I know how I feel and what things make me feel best. And through my diet, through those tools like walking or yoga or tapping or breath work or whatever things, that's when you pull those things out, because you don't have to see the next step. You just go to what you know, the good things, the good things. So I wake up in the morning and I go eat something nourishing. I go and move my body. I drink water. I do some research. I take notes. I write a lot. I write and I say, I want this. I want that. I want that. I'm specific about it. I pray, I talk to the universe, I talk to my ancestors, and I try to stay in alignment. And through that process, somehow things unfold. And I know that that doesn't seem like the most scientific process, but again, there are so many parts of this journey that are not science, that are not, it doesn't have anything to do with your diet, your blah, 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 blah. You have to have faith. You have to have deep inner knowing, because in reality, you make your reality. So you have to keep walking in that direction, and it'll unfold.
Yeah.
So when I'm in this midst of confusion, like, oh my God, I'm stuck. How the hell am I going to get out this time?
Yeah.
You're going to do it how you do it every time. You're going to keep walking towards it, but you're going to keep showing up as your highest self, even when it's hard, even when you feel like crap and you just feel like, oh my God, I could cry in this bed all day. No, you're going to go nourish yourself. You're going to go ground yourself. You're going to go move your body, and you start feeling better, and you start like lifting your spirit somehow, and things happen.
I love that you said it's like, it's what you know, because so many times I'll remember, oh, I was meditating every single day and I felt so much better, and I somehow like stopped doing that. And then I go back and I'm like, why did I forget that? And then you said drinking water, moving your body. When we go through these phases of starting to not feel good, go back to what you know, because I think it's kind of part of being a human being that you are different and you're changing every day. So because you fell out of a routine, don't look at yourself as failing and like, oh, I used to be this and that. You can pick it up right now. Like, go back and do it. So I'm curious, do you have a vision board? Are you the type of person that puts pictures on a wall, or like you look at something every day and then you kind of see that stuff happening? Or are you like journaling? Like, how do you keep track of your wants and desires coming true?
I'm such a mess. Honestly, I don't have a vision board, but I screenshot everything. And if I went back through, I look at my house right now, and even down to my dining room table, I screenshotted it in this magazine. I was like, oh my God, that's beautiful. It was way out of my price range at the time. And I just screenshotted it because I was like, damn, that would look good. I didn't even realize that it's the same one that I have right now.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not kidding. And I went back. The only reason why I remember this is that I was going through my photo thing, and I realized that I had screenshotted it a year and change before I actually even looked into buying it. And you forget these things. Yep. So I screenshot everything.
Nice.
I screenshot everything. I write, because you have to get very crystal clear. I mean, like, even to the feeling, because we do know that emotions are energy in motion, to the feeling. How are you going to feel when your fibroids are gone and you are healthy? How are you going to look? How are you going to show up in your life? That to that detail, that's what I write down. And I have, if you could see my office area, I do Post-its.
Oh, nice.
I do Post-its. I found writing things is like magic. It's literally like magic for me in manifesting things. And also just that screenshotting thing is major.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I had never really done the vision board thing, and I was listening to a book. I was doing everything I could possibly do to try to like get my mental, I wanted to be as strong mentally and emotionally as I possibly could be going into surgery, because I was absolutely terrified. I honestly, I thought I was going to die. Like, that was a huge thing where I was like, do I have 2 weeks left to live right now?
Oh my goodness.
And so there was a wonderful book that I actually listened to called Trauma and the Soul. And it's super cool. It's all like Carl Jung's work with his actual patients.
Okay.
And dreams and symbolism and all that stuff, how it all comes together. And I'm telling you, so it took me 6-8 months to listen through this whole thing. So I'd listen to it and then kind of go for a couple weeks and then listen to it again. every time I listened to it, I would pause it and just sit there with my jaw open because something was exactly what I needed to hear at that moment. So I think self-improvement and development, it goes in phases. It's not like you spend a week and you're suddenly improved and you're now at the mountain peak. It's like you kind of have to go through a lot of different things because we're a living, breathing, natural human that, you know, your emotions are one way one day and then another way. But I was listening to a book about visualizing and manifesting and things like that. And I was kind of weird about using the word manifesting because it has so much baggage with it. But
Yeah.
she said, if you build a vision board, do it slowly. Like, don't just throw a bunch of stuff up there and go, okay, that's what I want. It's like, go and think really, really hard about what you want and feel it. Like you're saying, like, have this thing that is like, you are finding the resonating vibration within yourself that's like, that is what I want. Not that's what I see on vision boards. Like, people have a nice car on there and a nice house. It's like, okay, what if those aren't things that resonate? Like, find what it is. And for me, I put a picture of an MRI, like a healthy uterus on there. That was like in the middle. And it said, I'm already healed. And I was like, that's what I want to see someday.
Yes.
And there's other things on there that it's really wild to look back and be like, oh, that's happening now. Like that, you can make those things happen. And I truly think we do that. But because we don't keep records of all of our wants and dreams and desires, we maybe don't realize how much the universe or God or energy is actually listening and trying to bend reality to your will. So we as creative humans, and because I'm a woman, maybe I'm a little biased, but I think women have so much more creative power, you know, like we have this, like, we can whisper into the universe and it hears us kind of deal, you know? And so I think visualizing, I love what you said, like, how am I going to feel when I don't have these fibroids anymore? That's the most important thing, to go into something. Now, whether it's about fibroids or not, like, you go into something that's unknown, write the story for yourself. I conquered that thing. I did it bravely. I healed and it was not a problem. Like, speaking out what you want to happen is so important. And for you, writing it out is so important. So if somebody's watching this right now and they're like, oof, like, I'm on the journey right now. I forgot all the things that I should be doing, right? Like, I'm depressed and I'm scared and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What would you say to that girl who's sitting here watching this going, I'm lost. Like, I wish I was like you, GlamPreezy. I wish that I could be at that place of confidence, because I love what you said, that you, like, there's not a doubt in your mind. How do you get there? What's the first step?
The simplest step, and this is something that should resonate with you wherever you are in your journey. The next action that you make it an aligned one. And the more aligned actions you make, the more confidence you build, the more you start to see evidence of what you're creating. And you'll look back and you'll be like, oh, damn, I'm now in alignment.
Yes.
So no matter whether that be you deciding that, you know, you're no longer going to eat however you're eating, the next meal you put in your mouth, make it aligned. The next action, because sometimes we're so in a bad place, we can't even see past our next foot. The next action you take, make it aligned.
I love
and
that.
Then just keep going.
Keep going. Don't do the whole, I like that you talked about food, because how classic is the diet starts tomorrow, you know, like.
Yeah, I'm gonna start on Monday.
Yeah, I'll just go through the weekend.
Next month.
Yeah, exactly. We do that way, way too often. What would you say about the shame and embarrassment mixed with the medical community? Because there are things that you can do naturally. And that's what so much of your content is about, is like, how can you manage this stuff and avoid surgery and live a good life and shrink them down or keep new ones from growing? What would you say about the people who don't get help that need it? You know, like at a certain, like, my bladder was getting squished down because the fibroid was growing into it in a specific way that literally I needed a catheter to pee. and Ryan had his headlamp on and I'm laying in the bathtub and he's sitting in,
God
so
bless him.
God bless him for sure. It was so wild. But my like physical symptoms got to the point where, and I felt like I had failed because I was trying to follow the healthy advice. I was trying to be like, I can do this on my own and I don't need to have surgery and like God will heal me, essentially, is what I kept thinking and feeling. And then it was like, no, my body is getting to the point where it is very dire. It is very critically ill, you know? What would you say to the person who's like almost rejecting that side of things? Like, okay, I don't want to go and see what the medical professionals have to say, or I don't, because there is a place for surgery. And that's what I want some people to know is like, do all the things that you know to do, get right. And then if you need surgery, at least you'll start on a better path.
Yeah, totally. And like I said, I'm doing calls now, and I'm starting to really see that is a huge factor. And I spoke to a young lady last week who hadn't seen a doctor in years because the last doctor recommended that she do something that made her situation much worse.
Oh, that's terrible.
And so she had this trauma, and I'm starting to see like a lot of women have this avoidance issue. And I don't like to see this, but I love to have these conversations because this is an opportunity for us to understand that the doctors are a tool. They do not make choices for your body. You make choices for your body with the information that you get from them. You are in control, but you have to know where you are in order to make informed choices, because you could be making your situation worse by not knowing what's going on. You know, this particular young lady, she ended up actually just now following up with me, got deficiencies.
Oh.
Major deficiencies.
Yeah.
Certain things that she was eating and certain things that she was doing in her day-to-day life that was making her circumstances worse. And this is just a small thing, you know? If you aren't aware, you can't help yourself. And I know where a lot of times we're avoiding these situations because there is so much trauma for many women with fibroids and any type of gynecological issue with seeing doctors. And we have to shift that perspective and be empowered that the knowledge that's going to come from this, forget their opinion, you know, their opinion. Yeah, it is a professional opinion, but more so you need to know how big it is. You need to know where it is. You need to know what your blood work is looking like. What are your hormones looking like? What's going on inside of there? And when we do this whole avoidance dance, we're making our situation worse energetically also, because again, we're not going inward. We're not trying to figure out the situation. We're not taking this on with the confidence that we're going to figure it out. You can't face something if you don't face it. You know what I mean?
It's so simple, but it's so true.
Face it. And the worst that can happen is you know how you need to move forward.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's a truth bomb. Because once you face it, maybe that's what it is. People just don't want to know like the truth, but then also it takes work. You know, like I thought so many times, I wish that I could wake up and just be like, oh, this isn't something that I have to deal with now. I don't have to make decisions about the rest of my life, big decisions right now. Like maybe I could just, but that thing where you slink away and it's like if you're watching the movie of your life, how would you want your character to respond to this challenge? Do you want them to be like, no, I'll just avoid it and ignore it? No, there's something in you that's like, no, face it, fight the dragon, go do the thing that you must do. And then what's on the other side of it is a deeper connection to yourself. You have an experience now that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. And maybe, okay, let's say you don't go through it the way that you heroically wanted to. There's always the chance that you can look back at that and, like you said, perspective shift. Look at those things and go, okay, I don't have to keep that same story in my mind, that same, it's almost like like a little
Yeah.
run in
A
your head.
storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you can change and shift that.
The only
Um,
way out is through, ladies. The
the
only
only
way
way out.
out is through.
Yes. I love that. And it seems like you don't, maybe you don't come out of the box a brave person. Like, would you say that as a child you were like fearless and just going, this is
God,
something you had to
no.
learn? Okay.
God, no. I mean, and also in every situation, we're not going to be fearless. But I'll tell you what can make you fearless is knowledge.
Mm,
What can make you fearless is getting to know yourself and getting behind your choices. But you can't get behind your choices if you're avoiding yourself.
mm-hmm.
And that also is included in figuring out what's going on inside.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of nourishing yourself. That's part of getting into alignment with yourself. This avoidance thing is part of healing. Whatever choice you make at the end of this, whether it be surgery, natural, whatever, all of this is about alignment with yourself and healing yourself. And if you are afraid to know where your own body lies, we cannot heal.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that fear, I love that right now on the internet and socials, everybody's like, do it afraid.
Yeah.
There's so many times, even till this day, this moment right now, there are times when I'm just like, wow, I really don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm kind of like, those things that we're avoiding, like, kind of don't want to face it, but I can't avoid it because I can't get what I want if I keep avoiding it.
Right.
Like, there's no way for me to have the outcome that I want if I don't even face it right now,
Right. And if you're waiting to feel brave, perhaps you'll never get there. I love the do it afraid. So I ride horses, and when I took a pretty long break from riding and then got back into it, I'm an adult now, and now I'm not made of rubber, and I can just bounce off the ground if something bad happens. And I start thinking like, your whole life flashes before your eyes when the horse just goes like this, and you're like, oh. So I'm like, I can't ride a horse this way because they feed off of, I don't know if you know much about horses, but they are the most emotional mirrors for people. Like dogs, cats, all other animals are completely different when it comes to how horses interact with other living beings. And it's they are, your intuition and your intention is, they read body language. And so that's why it's so healing to be around a horse, because they'll tell you what you're feeling before you even know it. And so when you're riding on a horse and you're scared, the horse doesn't know that you're scared of falling off and getting hurt. It thinks you're scared of the tiger in the woods. So the horse is looking to you thinking like, why are we scared right now? And so I had to learn this. And actually Ryan rides motorcycles, and he told me, he was like, when you feel that feeling, it's almost like you can see it as adrenaline instead of fear. You can see it as like, okay, I need to be alert because I'm doing something dangerous. First of all, it's a privilege. You're alive and you're feeling alive. So when you start to get that crazy, it's like a zing up my spine when I would get like, oh, that was a close call. Yeah. Ryan was like, laugh. You have to laugh, because that is the only way to teach your brain that you're okay when that moment happens. So, because I was afraid of the feeling of fear. It's like, I don't want to feel afraid. And so then it's a whole thing. But so I started training myself how to do that when I'm riding on my horse and she does something, I'd be like, oh, and then I'll go, ha, 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 like a fake laugh. And I was this crazy person riding around the neighborhood, just fake laughing on my horse. And people are like, what is she doing? And it actually helped so much that now I can't help but laugh. And my horse is so much braver now because I am braver, and I'm sitting here going, and if she starts getting worried, I can actually calm her down instead of me getting also worried like, oh, she's going to do something. But knowledge, I learned about horses. I learned about horse training. I learned about her. I learned if I do this movement and back her up and do this and that, then she can kind of calm down. So like I had to learn the psychology of the thing that I was interacting with. But most importantly, I had to check myself. I had to make sure I wasn't the reason why neither of us were feeling good. And it all came back down to laughing. And imagine, in a movie, when you're watching, the hero laughs in the face of the villain. You're like, man, I wish I could do that. So what is I'm laughing in the face of this challenge right now? What is the thing that you're like, this is the thing I'm going to conquer?
In my life right now?
Yeah.
Totally perimenopause.
Yes.
And it's so weird that you say that about laughing, because I laugh a lot. I laugh even when things are horrible, because I don't know, I've just taught myself the same thing. And what I've learned about the body also is that the body doesn't know whether there's a lion or not. That's another thing. When I heard you talking about that, like your body thinks that you are in danger when you're stressed and you're whatever. So I'm laughing through a lot right now, and I'm laughing through this perimenopause thing, but I'm definitely going to conquer it. I'm going to conquer it for sure. 1000%. And that's like, I think that's going to be my next chapter, to combine the whole fibroids and perimenopause, because there are a lot of women that are going through that. And I think that I've been doing it a little bit long enough where I can lend some advice to that space as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if there is one person that I know for sure, whatever you set your mind to, you will not only conquer it, but you'll do it with beauty and grace. And just, you are such an inspiration for me. I will continue watching until you stop making videos. Hopefully you never stop, because it's so cool to have somebody like you that is, you're practicing what you preach. And I think that is beautiful and helpful, and it's so cool. And yes, of course you're going to conquer this next phase. You're going to be the resource that people go through when they're little teenagers and they're like, what is a period, all the way through. So thank you so much for sitting down and chatting. I did not realize how much we had in common and how much our thoughts and ideas and views aligned. I feel like we could go on for literally hours about so many other things. But I really, really appreciate it. And it was so cool to meet you. I hope we get to talk again soon, because I'm sitting here like, okay, I have like 1,000 more notes that I'm going to be like, can we talk about this?
Yeah, I have really, really thoroughly enjoyed this. And I also had some little notes for myself as well, especially on that trauma piece. There's so much that we could talk about. I really hope that we get to do this again.
Yes.
And I really do appreciate the life that you're speaking into me, girl. Like, yes, I love that, because it really just motivates me to keep going. And, you know, just if I could just say this last thing, we talked about fear and we talked about doing things scared. I've sacrificed so much to be here and to continue showing up for myself. And sometimes you really just don't know how the hell it's going to pull all together, but you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the next. Keep going in the direction that you see yourself in, because sometimes we look at our circumstances and there's no evidence that we can get out. You know what I mean? So just keep pushing. And I really, really appreciate this opportunity to chat with you and your audience.
Well, my audience is like mainly my mom, so.
Hey, Mom.